Welcome back, odds and ensers, in and outers, like and subbers, twist and shouters. It is the one, the only, highly rated, armor-plated, imitated, but never ever duplicated Espionage DB7 here, bringing you another video on the Steam Deck. And yes, as you can see, I just got mine back, or rather I should say I got a replacement. I can tell because there was actually a very distinctive scratch. It was ever so small, but it was right on the left joystick, and it is no longer there. So this is actually a replacement model. And I want to talk about a few things. This is actually more or less the video that I was originally going to make before my first Steam Deck crapped out on me. That video you can see is in the linked in the description below, where I talk about that. But basically, I want to talk a little bit about what I've been doing with my Steam Deck, what you can do with yours, a few tips and tricks that I have for you, as well as some links to some YouTube videos that I found very useful. Those will all be in the description below as well, but we're going to go into a little bit more detail. So before we get into everything, of course, if you're new to the channel, please consider leaving a like, sharing, help us grow. We're on our road to 250 subs. We're getting there very quickly, and after that we'll hit 500, 1,000, a million. Be part of the movement, be part of the growth. Help us grow. Leave a comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitch, all that stuff. We'll love you for it. But without further ado, let's talk a little bit about the Steam Deck. Alright, so before we get into anything else, I want to talk a little bit about the actual RMA process for the Steam Deck. Now, I had a few gripes on this on my previous Things S Pates video, where I talk about how, they want you to pack it tight with packing peanuts, and the frustration that I went with trying to find said packing peanuts. But the RMA process itself was actually very quick, very easy, and I got the replacement Steam Deck in a very expeditious fashion. It did not take long at all. So essentially what happens if you have problems, the Steam support will try to walk you through, trying to fix it yourself, as we detailed in my last Steam Deck video. Once it comes down to them not being able to fix it, with you following their instructions, then they RMA it. So what they'll do is they will send you an email with instructions. They'll send you a printing label along with an RMA ticket that you have to print out as well and put within the box. So they ask you to pack it tight. If you do not have, they want the carrying case if you have it. If for whatever reason you do not have the carrying case, it is not necessary to ship the device back. You can wrap it up in bubble wrap, pack it with packing peanuts, and send it that way. But they do make it very clear on the instructions that they want you to pack it tight, with no room for the device to kind of fidget around or bounce around in, and if the device is damaged from physical movement within the box, that is not their responsibility. So they do make that very clear. But anyway, you print out if you have a printer, great. Otherwise, you go to Office Max, Office Depot, something like that. Print it out there. Pack the box. Put everything packed up tight. Put the shipping label on it, and you ship it via UPS. I don't know if everybody does their shipping through UPS, but the shipping label that I got was a UPS shipping label, so I had to send it out through UPS. I was told that the standard turnaround time for sending a deck out and then receiving it back was about 2 weeks. I'm happy to report that I'd say I got it maybe about a week and a half, or a week and 3 days maybe, because I shipped it out. I got the tracking information and I tracked it every step of the way, and as soon as I got confirmation that the device had been delivered later that day, I actually got tracking information back from Valve or Steam or whatever, letting me know that my replacement deck was on the way. And I actually ended up getting it 3 days later. it was estimated to be delivered on a Saturday, and it actually came early on a Friday. So it was, 3 days after the fact. So the RMA process itself was, fairly headache-free, other than what I went through, finding the packing materials, which is neither here nor there. The process itself was as headache-free as it could possibly be. So I have to say that I think Valve did a very good job with their process of returning and shipping out replacement Steam Decks, if something does go wrong. So if you should happen to find yourself in a situation where your Steam Deck no longer works, you've contacted Valve support and they just can't fix it, fret not, because the process to get it returned is fairly simple and straightforward. So I have to give them that. Alrighty, so the first thing that I want to talk to you about, as far as things you can do, tips and tricks and whatnot, is a thing called ProtonGE. Now what ProtonGE is basically additional patches and fixes for the games and software that you can run on the Steam Deck. Now I'm pretty sure that if you are a Steam Deck owner, you already know more or less about the Proton compatibility tools. Essentially, you can change if a game is unverified, or even if it says that it's not meant to run on the Steam Deck or won't run on the Steam Deck, you can usually go into, for instance, just take a let's take a game that supposedly doesn't run. Let's see, what do I got here? I know there's been a couple. Oh, for instance, Need for Speed Heat. If you you'll notice that it's unverified, or supposedly unsupported. As you can see there, Steam Deck compatibility unsupported. But if you go into your properties here with the little cog on the right hand side, go to properties and go to compatibility, you can force the use of a specific compatibility tool, and by default you'll find this one, Proton Experimental. Proton Experimental, what that essentially is a patch that can allow several games to run even if they're not meant to. But ProtonGE actually takes it a step further. You'll notice that I had GE Proton 741 selected, and all that means is basically, the community of coders, developers, whatever, have, done whatever it is they do. I don't know the ins and outs of coding and developing and all that, but basically they've come up with some additional compatibility tools ahead of Valve releasing them themselves. And this game actually does work. I have had no problems with it. Now for some reason I keep coming back to Need for Speed Heat, even though I'm not a big racing fan, but I just kind of want to show that it does work and it does run and all that. But yeah, I'm going to show you how to go about getting that in just a moment here. So yeah, as you can see here, this game runs perfectly fine, despite Steam itself saying that it is unsupported, and it is the same for many games. Fallout 76 is another one that I've been playing on here that is supposedly unsupported, but plays just fine, and a lot of it is thanks to those additional compatibility tools, Proton.
For accessibility options.
So just to show you that the game the game itself does run. Alright, so as you can see,
let's just get this car to the start line in one piece.
It works perfectly fine. And again, it's supposedly an incompatible game, and fuck.
Throw all those trophies back there.
Well, I said the game runs. I didn't say I was a good driver. Holy
Nah, that was my old man. Roberto Rivera.
Anyway, let's actually get into installing these additional tools. So the first thing you're going to want to do is switch over to your desktop mode. So you just go to bring up the settings, power, switch to desktop. Easy enough, right? Dig the wallpaper, huh? Anyway, once you're in desktop mode, you want to go down here to where it says Discover. So this is the software system. And then you're going to go ahead and go to search and bring up your keyboard. The way you do that is you press the, if you don't have a keyboard available, you press the Steam button and X, and that'll pop up the keyboard for you. And you just type out Proton. And enter. And here it is. And I'm sorry, I've been calling it ProtonGE, but the actual software itself is called ProtonUp-Qt. So what you want to do is you click on it, and up here it'll say download. Now mine, since I already have it, it says launch, but you're going to select download. And then once you've downloaded it, then you can go ahead and launch it. And when you launch, it should appear in the bottom right hand of your bottom right hand corner of the screen. Oh, mine appears up here. It usually comes up in the bottom right. But anyway, so once this is up, all you're going to do, and you can actually close the Discover now. You click right here where it says Add Version. You'll select GE Proton. That will be, because there are other things here. I don't know anything about them. The only thing I do know is Proton. So that's the only thing I'm going to advise you to. I have no idea what the rest of these are. But anyway, you select Proton GE. And then if you hit this drop down list, it'll actually give you all of the releases of the Proton versions that have come out. So if you run a game and you find that it's actually stable with, let's say, Proton GE 35, and they come out with a new one and you download the latest ones, or, Proton 41 or whatnot, and those don't seem to work, you can always switch back to a different version as long as you have it installed. So you can actually go through. I usually have just about the 4 latest versions. So I think I've got from Proton 38 through Proton 41 installed, but you can click each one individually and then you just select install and it'll download those for you, and then they will show up on the compatibility the compatibility settings, and you can actually select them. You can continue to use Steam's Proton Experimental, or if you want to go a step further, you can use this compatibility tool there. So that's definitely something for additional compatibility and ways to get additional games to work that may normally not work otherwise. So the next thing that I want to talk to you about is the Heroic Games Launcher. Now, this is a tool that is used to allow you to play your Epic games from your Epic library, and games from your GOG library. You can use those through the Heroic Games Launcher, and it's actually super easy to use. Very similar to how we downloaded Up-Qt. You go to Discover, and then up here in the search, you're just going to search for Heroic. So bring up your keyboard and then just start typing. You know what? I have to adjust the sensitivity on this. I just realized. So you just start typing Heroic and press enter. And yeah, I have to adjust the sensitivity. Anyway, once it searches, this should be the first thing that pops up is Heroic Game Launcher. So again, you're going to just click on it. Up here, you will see download instead of launch. But once you have it downloaded, you can launch it from here. Now, what I like to do is I actually like to add these items to my Steam list so that I don't have to. Because if you just download it here and launch it from here, in order to launch the Heroic Games Launcher, you'd have to switch to desktop mode each time, which works okay, but who wants to do that, right? Do you want to keep switching to desktop mode to play your Epic or GOG games? No, of course not, right? So what you can do is once you have it installed, you can go down here to your, I'm gonna call it the start menu. I guess it's called the application launcher according to Linux, but you can go to all applications, and you can find, and forgive me, I'm using a controller here, so it's a little bit slow. Goodness. Yeah. I'm much more used to a mouse with this kind of stuff. Oh my gosh. I'll just do this, the bar here. That's better. Okay. Where is Heroic? I went way past it, didn't I? Here it is. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to right click which on a controller is actually the left bumper L1, and you'll see that a menu comes up, and you'll see this option that says Add to Steam. So when you do that, once you add it to Steam, you will note, I should say, that on your Steam library it will come up. Now I have it set under which I will be talking a little bit about emulation as well, but I have it set under emulation just because in my eyes it emulates, the Epic Game Store and the GOG Store and all that. But yeah, so it is now on my Steam library. So if we go back to gaming mode, alright, so here we are back at the library, and this is on my recent games, but you should be able to go to library, and you will probably find it under your non-Steam games collection. So you can go here. Now you'll notice a lot of these things. I have some streaming services, Google Voice, Reddit. I'm a Reddit user. You can. Sorry, my dog seems to be going crazy in the background. You will notice that the Heroic Games launcher is here, and you will notice also that it does have. You will notice that it has all of these actually have some nice artwork to go with them, and we will talk about that as well. But anyway, back to the Heroic Games launcher. So you can, once you launch it, it'll bring up your list of games associated with your Epic account and your GOG account. Now obviously the first thing that'll pop up when you access the Heroic Games launcher is going to be a login page for both Epic and GOG. All you have to do is log in and your entire library will show up there. Now there is one thing that you may notice, and I'm going to show you a trick. Because this was frustrating the hell out of me until I figured out how to do this. So basically, once you get into the Epic Games Launcher, you push everything on your controller, nothing happens, nothing works. Well, the reason for that is because since this is a non-Steam game, it doesn't detect any kind of input, but there is a way around that. So what you can do is you can pull up your Steam menu, go to controller settings, and you can change the controller settings. For instance, the default is gamepad with camera controls. However, if you change that, and I'm going to show you how to get this in just a moment, to a web browser setting, you click on that, you go back to your controls, and now you will notice that your joystick now controls the mouse, and you can launch your games. So once you actually get into a game, then you just switch back to the controller settings for a gamepad, with camera controls, and you're good to go. Now, you may notice that as soon as you launch the Heroic Game Launcher and you download a game, so you get past the controller setting and all that, and you decide to download a game and you launch it, you may run into this error here. I'm going to show you. Let's see. So, no wine version selected. Check game settings. So you click OK. All you have to do for that'll come up every time. I don't know if there is I've tried to see if there's a setting to kind of get that to just not come up, but all you have to do is click this little gear here, and you'll notice that wine version is already selected to Wine GE Proton 41, which is what we talked about, and that is the wine version that I want to go with. Wine is just another word for compatibility to, as far as I know. It's just part of the the Heroic Games launcher. All you have to do is switch it to something else, and then click it again and go back to Proton 7, and then go back, and now when you go to launch, you should have no problem. Now this is the first time I'm actually launching this game, so it may take a little bit to load, but I just want to show you. Now again, keep in mind I'm currently in a web browser controller setting, so once I get into the game, it won't work because the game is going to read a joystick, or not a joystick but a controller, and it's only going to function as a web browser. So On this, I can still go through. So with menus and stuff, it should work. But once you actually get into the gameplay, and I want to skip all this. I don't care about all this. You can create blah blah blah. Yes, whatever. Whatever. Congratulations. Okay. Okay. Oh my God. Yes, I get it. All the DLCs. Oh my goodness. How many DLCs does this game have? Are these different or is the same thing coming up? A scavenger archer, multiplayer maps, two multiplayer. Okay, finally. Alright, so we go to new game. And I've never played this game before, so I don't know if there's like a huge prologue or something. I just kind of
explorer once said,
I want to skip this.
that the extraordinary is in
No, I
what
did not
we
mean to do
do,
that.
not who we are. I finally set out
what
to make
space?
my mark.
I don't know what space.
Find adventure.
Okay, here's space. Alright, so here we are. I don't know if I have control yet. I don't know how I got in the water. I do plan to play this game. I used to like the original PlayStation Tomb Raider games. I used to play with friends. Oh my God, the keyboard keeps coming up. Again, because I have it on a mouse and keyboard setting or web browsing setting.
This would happen.
Come on, doctor.
Too many dang
Out
cutscenes.
here.
Alright, there we go. I skipped that. Oh my God. I swear I just want to show you, you know, once you get into the game. I'm being dragged. Can we just get into, like, moving the character around, for God's goodness sake? Oh my God. If I press skip, it means I want to skip all of this shit. Oh, I keep pressing the button for the keyboard. Okay, okay, I get it. Y'all made the game. You should be very proud. I'm sure it's amazing. Let me get on with moving the character. This was probably the worst game I could have picked for this. You know what? Yeah, this is... I don't know how long this is gonna... Yeah, okay, screw this. So, essentially... Exit to main menu, yes. I still have it on a on the web browser setting, which is fine for navigating menus and stuff. But once you get into actual gameplay, it doesn't work. And I just kind of wanted to show that and show what you. Here's a game that is quick to load. Let's do Inside here. Loading. Okay, so here I am. I've got Inside loaded. It loaded my last checkpoint, which I had just kind of started a game here. I'm clicking everything, and I can't move. Some of the buttons seem to make me move around a little bit, but virtually nothing works, at least not the way it's supposed to. So once you get past the menus of the games and the Heroic Game Launcher itself, what you want to do is you want to press your Steam button, go to controller settings once more, and here you can just go to your default controls. So default, or you know, whatever control configuration you have yourself set up. So you go to gamepad with camera controls or whatever, you know, configuration you prefer. And now, as you can see, I have free reign to move about. Without issue, and I just got myself shot and killed. But yes, so I should have started with this and then instead of that whole Tomb Raider thing. But as you can see, you know, whenever you're having trouble with the Heroic Game Launcher, if you can't figure out why none of your keys are doing anything, more than likely it's going to be an issue with switching the controller configuration, because that's what worked for me. There is other situations where there's other situations where switching the controller will come in handy. Just take a look at this.
How many times have you had this happen to you? You go to start one of your favorite games, only to find that it has its own ridiculous game launcher.
God damn it.
And then, try as you might, you just can't hit the right button to start the game.
You gotta be kidding me. Son of a... Oh, nuts to this.
Well, fret not. Simply switch your controller's configuration to web browser and you're good to go. Thanks, controller configs.
So you're probably wondering how you can get that web browser controller configuration in the first place. Well, fear not, because I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So when you first get your Steam Deck, one of the first things you can do, one of the first things that you get prompted to do is add Google Chrome to your library. So once you do that, that is pretty much all you'll need in order to get that web browser layout. So you're going to want to go to Google Chrome, but don't launch it. Just open it up in your library, as I did here. And you're going to want to go over to the controller settings. So I messed with this for a little bit because I was trying to figure out, that's why they have weird names like 2 web browsing, as you can see here. I was trying to figure out how to export the web browser settings. So the default one, I believe, is just web browsing that comes up. So what you're going to want to do is, once you have your web browser settings selected, is you can, sorry, I didn't mean to get out of that. You can go to edit layout. I'm sorry, not edit layout. I'm trying to remember here. No, I believe it's, you go to the gear here. Here we go. And you just export the layout. And you can title it whatever you want. You can describe it however you want. And right here, you just want to save it as a new personal save. And once you do that, I'm going to cancel because I've already saved it like 3 times. But once you do that, this layout will appear in any of your other controller settings. So once you go to, for instance, any game that has a menu, like I just demonstrated with Fallout New Vegas, or the Heroic Game Launcher, you're going to want to use that web browser layout, not only for that, but for things like your streaming services, for your Netflix, for your Hulu, for your HBO Max, you know, for your browsers, for anything. So let me give you a demonstration, because if you don't do that, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set the controller configuration to just the default gamepad with controls, and I'm going to show you how to put, you know, all your streaming services and stuff on your Steam library just like I have here. But for instance, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and load up one of my favorite streaming services, Hulu, here. Alright, so again, pushing everything, nothing's working, but that's because I have a controller configuration set up for gaming. So in order to remedy that, again, you're going to want to press your Steam button, go to controller settings, and you're going to want to set it up with a web browsing layout. Once you have that, now you will notice you have you know, your right joystick controls the mouse, left joystick controls, you know, the up and down movement, and you have, you know, free reign of controlling the screen, you know, through any of these services. So once you do what I'm going to show you next, because I'm going to show you how I got these you know, streaming services and all this on here, you want to be sure to set the default controller configuration to web browsing so that you don't have trouble navigating. Alright, so for the next thing that I want to talk about is, again, adding things like your streaming services, or things like just default websites. For instance, you'll notice here, I've even got our channel as one of the things that you can select here. And when you select this, all it takes you to is a thing called Linktree, which has our different things. For instance, our YouTube channel, Twitch, Discord, Facebook, and all of that. So you click on YouTube, it takes you to our YouTube page. So I'm gonna pause that for a moment. So the way that you get this, I think rather than show you myself, I'm actually going to link a video here. You'll see the URL on your screen now, and this link is actually on the description below. Go ahead and follow it. This guy, he is very step by step with how to actually do it. There's a little bit of tweaking that you have to do on the console, on the Linux console, but other than that, it's as simple as basically adding Google Chrome to your Steam library and then adjusting the URL that it points to. And again, this is the video here, and just follow the link in the description below, and it tells you step by step how to do it. Now, I do want to let you know that he did create some artwork for different things like Hulu and Netflix and stuff like that. But there are items that I actually use, for instance, Discord here, that he did not have the artwork for. So I actually went ahead and created some of my own artwork. I also didn't like some of the artwork that he provided, so I adjusted some myself and created some myself. So for instance, here Discord, you can launch it straight from the Steam launcher. I can join any of the doofs on the Discord channel. And I just wanted to make sure you guys knew how to do this. And I will put a link in the description below to some of the artwork that I created as well. Things like I created artwork for things like Pluto, Tubi, Crackle, some of those free streaming services, Discord, Google Voice, Google Chat, and a few others. So a link to a zip file where you can download that and add it to your own links in Steam will be in the description below as well. And similar to what I was just talking about, such as adding streaming services and non-Steam sites to your Steam Deck and to your Steam library, there is a gentleman that does a much better video on installing EmuDeck and various emulators onto your Steam Deck. He explains it so much better than I ever could. Plus, this video is already, getting a little bit on the long side, so I'm, gonna kind of just kind of breeze through the rest of it here. But basically, he will show you how to install EmuDeck and various emulators and various parsers, and I tend to use this one, Emulation Station. There are different places that you can go to get things like ROMs and BIOS for legal reasons. I know that people can't specifically tell you where, but I'm sure that there's ways you can do research. And when you put any of these ROMs, which are games, into the appropriate folders as are described in the video that I will be linking, you will see those emulators show up. So as you can see, I have currently let's see, I've got MAME, PC Engine, which is also TurboGrafx. As you can see, they both have the exact same number of games. I'm not sure why it appears twice. The N64, the Nintendo Entertainment System. This one, the Game Boy Advance, I remember when I was in my, I believe it was my freshman year of high school, I wanted a Game Boy Advance so bad, and I never got one. And it's so cool now having one and being able to play these games and stuff. And, I just, where is it? There's one game that I remember I used to play. Here it is. I used to play, there was a friend who used to bring his Game Boy to school, and this game was actually pretty cool. Maybe I'll do a playthrough of it for the new season of Fallback Friday, which will be launching soon. But I remember this game used to be dope. I used to play it all the time, and I even had a save on his Game Boy. And it was such a cool game. I think it's underrated because I never hear about it anymore. Anyway, we're not gonna play that right now, but just to show you the different things. Here's another quick one. Where is it? The TurboGrafx. I had a TurboGrafx as a kid. I still have it actually. And this game right here, I'll show you this game real quick before we move on. This game is the best, at least in my opinion, of the space shooters. This game has it all. The action, the music is just so badass. Where the hell is it? There were a lot of good games on the TurboGrafx. I'm not sure why it failed. I think basically just because Super Nintendo and Sega got all the action. But look at this. Look at this sweet intro. Listen to that kick-ass beat. This was the hypest shit when I first played it. I remember when I first got a TurboGrafx, my mom got it for me, and this was one of the first 3 games that I had. The first 3 games were this one, Sidearms Hyperdyne, and Keith Courage in Alpha Zones. And this game, I mean, all 3 of those games were great, but this game I fucking spent hours on. This is such a fucking great game. And any of the classics that you like from your old days growing up or whatnot, if you're into retro gaming, then definitely follow the link I have in the description below to know how to set up EmuDeck so you can play this shit yourself, because man, the nostalgia bombs hit. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about is an item called Deck Cleaner that I've heard about. So for anybody who watched my video on my Steam Deck dying, you'll remember one of the things that I talked about was how the Steam Deck seemed to compile and accumulate shader data that remained on the device's internal disk drive, despite even if you uninstall the game itself, the shader data and other data stays behind. And it's already starting to happen right here on this Steam Deck. I mean, I've had it back in my possession all of a few days, and everything that I've installed has gone to the 1 terabyte SD card that I have. But you'll notice that more than half of the data of the internal drive is already taken up. And from what I understand, that big yellow bar that says other, that's all like shader data. So we're going to see, you're going to see here on this video, because I'm going to do it for the first time myself. So, I'll be the test subject for you guys. We're going to see if this Steam Deck Cleaner thing actually works the way it's supposed to. So the first thing you want to do is you want to, of course, bring up your Steam menu, go to power, and we're going to switch to desktop mode. Okay, so once you're in desktop mode, you're going to want to go to your browser. And I already have the URL copied. This was the URL that I found for Deck Cleaner. So again, this, you don't have to worry about squinting and trying to see what that says right there or anything. I will leave a link in the description below. But again, use at your own risk. I'm going to use it for the first time myself here. But I'm just giving you guys the resources. Whether or not you choose to use them is totally up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and download this, I guess. Alright, so go down here to releases and download the source code. Alright, and I will link a video. Again, all of this that I'm doing is, information that I've gotten from other people, which deserve the credit, because, I got this information from their videos, so I will link it as well. But supposedly from this, I unzip the files here. So let's see, go ahead and just drop this off here. All right, and supposedly I go to the latest one, right click, permissions, click on executable, click OK, and then right click and add to Steam, which that should add it to the Steam library so that it's able to go to be used in the Steam gaming mode. So let's go ahead and close this off. Alright, so we're going to switch back to gaming mode. And I've got my fingers crossed. Supposedly this works like a charm, but only time will tell. Hopefully this won't brick the Steam Deck again. If this works like it's supposed to, I may end up just creating some art for it and stuff. Speaking of the art, I've actually also am linking a website that has a bunch of additional art things that you can use, such as for the graphics on each of the individual games and items that you might add, the non-Steam sites and streaming services and stuff. Alright, so supposedly from here we're going to go to library, non-Steam, and here it is. So here goes nothing. Deck cleaner, play. Okay, shaders, 2.7 gigs of shader cache. Do you want to clear this data? Well, how about this? I can't select anything. So guess what? What did we learn today? Change the controller to web browsing. And now, how about that? Tell your friends what you learned here today. Do you wish to clear this data? Yes. Shader cache was successfully deleted. Alright, well, let's see. 2 gigs wasn't that much, but let's see if it actually did it. Everything seems like it's working. Well, it's not completely gone, but it's definitely reduced. So, yeah, I'd say that it works. So there you have it, guys. Deck cleaner. Again, the link will be in the description below. Didn't work as well as I'd hoped, but it's definitely something that should keep the storage from completely overwhelming, or the files from completely overwhelming my storage capacity on the deck. But yeah, so there you have it. I hope that you've found this video useful. It seems like everything, the impact of that program was minimal at best. I don't really see anything else, having been affected. You know what? Here's what we're gonna do, because this is when things went to shit last time. I'm gonna restart the deck, because last time when I tried to restart is when everything went to shit. So we're gonna go ahead and shut it down and restart. But if it restarts properly with no problems, I'd say it's a success. So yeah, I hope that you found this video useful. I definitely want to keep making Steam videos for you, Steam Deck videos for you guys. Sharing my experiences, pros, cons, what works, what works for me, what I think can work for you. One thing to look for in the future is I intend to buy the official Steam Deck dock. I haven't. Money's been a little tight, so I have not been able to purchase that, but I do want to compare and contrast that with the generic dock that I have right now. There's definitely a few things that don't work as good as they should be, and hey, there we go. Looks like the deck booted up flawlessly with no problem. But yeah, that's that'll probably be the next video when I actually am able to purchase the Steam Deck dock. But I hope that you were able to find this video in particular useful. I know I tried to give a lot of tips, tricks, links to things that you might find useful, and I hope that I was able to help you out. I think that's going to go ahead and wrap this up. I know this video definitely went longer than I expected, but hopefully with good reason. So if you did find this video useful and you're new to the channel, first of all, welcome. Please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Leave a comment down there below. Let us know what you want to see, what games you want to play, what kind of content you want. Share it with your friends. Help us grow. We're on the road to 250 subs. After that, it'll be 500 subs, 1,000 subs, 1,000,000 subs. Help us get there. Be part of the growth. Be part of the movement, and we'll love you for it. I, of course, am the one, the only highly rated, armor-plated, imitated, but never ever duplicated Espionage DB7, bidding everyone a farewell, and don't forget to settle down. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this odds and ends gaming video. If you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting, sharing with your friends, and subscribing if you haven't already. And as always, don't forget to settle down.